The Christmas truce of 1914 was a single bright spot in the darkness. While the first year of the war had resulted in staggering losses for all sides, the reality of modern trench warfare was only beginning to manifest. The Germans would prove to be true innovators in the death-dealing arts. They were the first nation to embrace the Maxim machine gun, product of an American inventor, as a key feature of their trench defense system. The Germans built their trench system to withstand prolonged artillery bombardment, where the Allied forces viewed the trenches as temporary staging areas for offensive action, and therefore reinforcement of these positions is unnecessary. The Germans were keyed into the reality of this type of war. Winning would be dependent on taking land, and the Germans wanted their enemies to pay for it in blood. Hundreds of thousands would perish from blistering hails of gunfire as they worked to navigate the pockmarked hellscape of no man's land. Despite the efficiency that the machine gun provided in pausing enemy advances, it was too heavy and ponderous to move along with quickly advancing troops on the offensive. New tools would be necessary to break the stalemate. This would lead to the most horrendous innovation of the war: gas. Always on the bleeding edge of technological advancement, the Germans were the first to employ gas on the battlefield. April 22, 1915. Nearly 5 o'clock that evening, German forces unleashed chlorine gas on the British lines near Ypres in Belgium. Perplexed by the growing green and yellow mist blowing across no man's land, the men of the British Expeditionary Force had no idea of the devastation that would soon come. Inhaling the gas, men clutched at their throats, faces turning blue as their lungs began to fill with their own fluids. Claiming the 8,000-yard gap open in the British lines, one German soldier observed the horror left in the wake of the gas, saying, "The effects of a successful gas attack were horrible. All the dead lay on their backs with clenched fists." The Allies rushed to condemn the attack, but it was not long before they began to employ their own poison gases. While the chlorine gas had proven effective at Ypres, the Allies quickly recognized the type of gas being used and formulated a plan to neutralize its effects. Simply covering the face with a water-soaked rag was enough to counter the gas. In a pinch, soldiers would urinate on a handkerchief to avoid the horrible fate that awaited the unprepared. The gas mask was developed to offer better protection for soldiers, but the effects of mustard gas went beyond suffocation. Any exposed skin would blister and swell. It could attack the eyes, resulting in temporary or permanent blindness. Where chlorine and phosgene gas exposure could be treated by promptly applying oxygen, there was no treatment for mustard gas. The gas would linger on the ground for up to 3 days, proving to be a danger even after the shelling had ceased. Despite its limitations, the possibility of a change in the wind blowing the poison back across their own lines, the use of gas would continue to the war's conclusion in November 1918.